Hi guys, Geekonomics here once again, and today is the 11th of October 2015. So let me just bring you up to date with what's coming on the channel in the next few days. Something very important tomorrow. Obviously we have the official launch of the IFS Student Investor Challenge. So we have about 40 of you participating in that, so look out for that. Obviously goes live tomorrow when the FTSE opens, tomorrow morning. And the share prices that they come through on the competition are, I think, 15 minutes delayed. So we're not dealing in real-time prices, but almost. So looking forward to that. I know that some of you have done very well on the practice section of that in the last 4 or 5 weeks, so good luck with that. Do try and win us the trip to New York, obviously, I'd love that. Secondly, I'm doing a couple of lectures this next week or two on the rise of the global superpowers. Probably should be more entitled The Rise and Demise, actually, of the global superpowers, when we're talking about China and so on. It is very interesting. I often say to myself in lessons, I often say to the class, it's amazing how David Smith of the Sunday Times seems to just know what topic we're actually looking at. And the whole article, the whole piece today by David Smith, a tremendous piece on the BRIC nations, that's Brazil, Russia, India and China, and considering part of what I'm going to be considering in my lecture in the next week or two. So very interesting. I shall try and put, I'll not put the whole lectures on, but maybe just a little excerpt or two just up onto the channel so you can have a look. This week, probably the most exciting thing happening this week is the first in the series of Geekonomics Meets on Tuesday, so that should be up by Tuesday evening, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get stuck into the business pages. I hope you've all purchased a copy yourselves. The business pages of the Sunday Times. So, front page here, headline, big payday at Facebook UK, but only £4,327 going to the taxman in the UK, going to the exchequer. So once again, this old ongoing issue of large companies just incorporating and inventing very clever ways out of the UK tax system. So we know that Facebook's a $260 billion company and yet only paid £4,327 into the UK coffers. If you want to know how, I suggest you purchase a copy of the paper, but the basic gist of it is that the money that they make in the UK goes to another company in Ireland, so the headquarters are in the south of Ireland, and the cash is then channeled from there to a sister organisation in the Cayman Islands, and the Caribbean does not levy any corporation tax. So very clever of Facebook, FACB, but obviously not too good for the UK purse strings. What else have we? Yeah, a little bit gloomy actually on the UK economy. Britain's economy faces tougher years ahead. This is particularly pertinent to those of you who are participating in the Bank of England Challenge. Don't forget, that is November the 16th, I believe, is our regional heat. And it says here that they reckon we could be in for a very mild period of deflation, and consequently the likelihood of UK base rates rising anytime soon are fairly remote. Indeed, figures to be published this week in terms of the quarterly growth data, no better than 0.5% they reckon, having achieved 0.7% in the previous quarter. So global economic conditions are getting tricky, and that's something I will be dealing with in my lecture tomorrow, actually. What else have we got here? Yeah, we've got this tremendous article, this Dave Smith article, It's entitled China Sneezes But We Need Not Catch a Cold. So this is David Smith's article. If anyone knows David Smith, if he ever watches this, it'd be great if he would pay us a visit here. It'd be tremendous to have the man himself in front of us. Given that we use these articles so often, they're just tip top. And oftentimes you'll hear it said that whenever America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. Well, of course, in recent years, the driver of global growth, especially in the emerging markets, has been China. But that is starting to tail off as well. And so David Smith is talking about that. Erwin Stelzer, year 13. Look out for Erwin Stelzer. We, of course, in our studies of comparative advantage, absolute advantage, intra-regional trade, inter-regional trade, and all that jazz that we've been looking at in recent days. Well, last week Obama finished negotiating and building what's known as the TransPacific Partnership, a trade agreement which will benefit the US in some ways and cause certain problems for the US in other ways. If you want to know more about it, you'll be getting this to read anyway, so this is going to be part of your independent study reading this week anyway. But it's very interesting talking about protectionism and the fact that these trade barriers are going to be removed, but then how do countries actually, without imposing tariffs and so on, how do they slow the rate of goods into their economy? Talking about safety inspections, health codes and so on. Things that we've talked about before, but very interesting. Year 10, we've been looking at monopoly, haven't we, and sources of monopoly and how companies actually gain monopoly power. And here we have headline: 2 of the world's biggest beer makers meet to discuss a mega deal. A real example, a real life example, ladies and gentlemen, of monopoly. What else do we have? Ah, yes. Very interesting. I think this is the final thing I want to say on this, ladies and gentlemen. Entitled George the Builder. Play on Bob the Builder, ladies and gentlemen. Referring to George Osborne. Can he fix it? And it's talking about the fact that at the Conservative Party conference last week, George introduced a new independent infrastructure commission which they hope will get infrastructure moving in the UK. It's reckoned we need about £500 billion of new infrastructure investment by 2020. And there's a nice little headline grabber here. It says, it took 15 years to get Heathrow's Terminal 5 built. The French had 4 runways and 3 terminals built in 20 years. Come on, UK PLC, let's sort this out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I want to say on it for this week. Thanks for subscribing, keep watching, and look out for particularly the G-Economics meets this week. Bye for now.